Everyone is a fan of movies and TV shows, but when it comes to knowing behind the scenes, only a few of us tend to show interest. If you did, you definitely know about green screens and how important they are in almost every film that's being made nowadays. But here's a little something that might bring a twist in that story. We know how movies transform from onstage dramas to the invention of camera, which in turn help people capture things, thus leading to movies in theaters and big screens. Now if we take a look at any movie that came before 2000 or even some that came after 2000, we tend to notice something called a screen. A screen is exactly what it sounds like. It's a cloth used to fake backgrounds in the earlier days of movie making. As we know, back then, movies were not made with huge budgets, which limited the film team from going to different places for different shots. So they had to find an alternative, which turned out to be printing what they needed as the background onto a screen, which served as the background in the set. It had its developments from static screens to moving screens in the shots that involved vehicle movements. With all the technology kicking in, we finally settled down with the current era of green screens. Green screens play a major role in CGI and visual effects. Now if you're new to behind the screens of videography, here's a little something to help carry on with the video with a good understanding. CGI expands to computer-generated imagery and VFX expands to visual effects. Both of these techniques are used to create objects and animations with the help of a computer, which you see on a big screen. Almost everything you see in Avengers is VFX, so that will be an easy example to help understand. Now that you have a good understanding of what CGI and VFX mean, let's move on with the actual topic. Although green screens are used frequently and easily, the techniques involved don't come at a fair pricing. You don't get something for nothing. So the price you had to pay was huge, and the work involved was quite tedious as well, which leads us to the core purpose of this video. If you're a fan of Star Wars, then you might have already checked out Mandalorian. Now there is something special about the show, not because of Star Wars, but because of the virtual screens the team has chosen to use. Virtual screens, yes. For starters, they've made it in a way that you'd feel that you're surrounded by a pie-shaped arena of screens. Just like the old days of using static and moving screens, but with a more advanced and a different process. As Charmaine Chan said in a video by Vox Media, the link for which is in the description below, usage of this idea has caused a change in the process of how a movie or a show is made. Traditionally, it goes like this. The process begins with filming, moves on to editing, and the final effects are applied under visual effects, and then it goes on to being played on a big screen. But with these changes of the techniques involved with these virtual screens, the process has been changed to something like this. The visual effects process comes first, then moves on to filming, and then to editing. The working of these virtual screens are in the following way. The whole scene is planned out and rendered with the required software, and is simulated in the scenes behind the actors, hence the change in the process. Now, these virtual screens have made changes not only in the sets, but also in terms of the people working behind the scenes. The processes like color corrections were made easy, as in case of a green or a blue screen, the reflections of the green or blue colors on the actors or the objects in the scene required a tedious amount of work, with some sets having different shades of the screen, which made it even more harder. One of the most important works involved in working with virtual screens is creating a sense of depth between the non-screen and the on-screen objects. This on comparison seems to be making the works easier for people behind the scenes. Now we've come across the different processes all through these years for making the works easier for people on and off the screens. So will these virtual screens bring a change to the green screens we've been using for a long time? Leave your opinions in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.